Darling, all I have is love. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Na 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 na. Maybe I'm poor, but it's you. Now who's gonna hold and squeeze me tight? Now that she's gone out of my life, who's gonna make me feel the way she used to do? Yeah, now that my love is overdue. Now that my love is overdue, I'm all alone in the wilderness, searching to find some peace and rest. Although she wasn't the best girl, but she brought happiness into my world, and now I'm a prisoner of loneliness. All right, Dominica, it's 1:10 in the afternoon. Welcome to the Talk on the Block. If it's on the block, then we'll talk about it. This is Q95. It's a Monday, the 23rd of February in the year 2026. Let's take a break. We'll come right back. The only company I know with Bryce was cooking butter and back and neck. Now with the last valley short, I said Bryce. In the old the plus level where you have a roofing material and seamless guttering. Yes, 24 gauge governors, all colors. Ever open Nipo gas peel agent. They program the computer to give you the exact size you want. And the seamless guttering aluminum that can better withstand the elements you have in an easy way. So no leaking after a while. And so much more. Bryce and Company, the at by 8 bank close to the old mill at Enfield. Telephone 617-2468.
Need one trusted place that to stock up for your home, shop, or business? Fine Foods Inc. Distribution has got you covered. From dry goods and frozen foods to your favorite drinks, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, plus all the household must-have. We've got it all under one roof. We're right here in Jimmy Dominica. And yes, we deliver. Whether you're running a supermarket, a corner shop, a bar, or just like your pantry full and happy, Fine Foods Inc. brings you the best brands you know and love. Great prices, top-tier service, trusted products. At 255-6810 or 316-0164. Or drop by our Jimmy location to check out what's in store. Fine Foods Inc.
Fine Foods Inc. The biggest distributor for the biggest brand.
Dominica, it could happen at any time. Whatever you're doing, stop. Are you confirmed to exercise your right, your vote, your party, your responsibility? This fresh confirmation process gives you the power and authority to choose your candidate. Don't miss this opportunity. Don't let it pass you by. Go exercise your right. The professor unleash your vote. Your vote is important. Make it count. You make first communion. Now is your time to confirm. To vote. Look, Patricia Terry, Shirley, T-Boy, Lucia, Kami already confirmed. Hurry, join the confirmation process. Make sure your name is big and bold on the electors list. Go and register in your names. Make sure you work with your witness from your polling station who is already registered. Do it early, do it fast, do it now. Call the confirmation hotline at 617-9595-275-8164. Do it because that makes you 100% Dominican.
There's smooth.
And then there's Guinness Smooth.
It's a brand new cool.
Incredibly smooth.
Perfectly balanced.
For a smooth and refreshing taste.
How smooth? Well smooth. Guinness smooth.
For a smooth and refreshing taste. New Guinness Smooth. Must be 18 years or older. Drink responsibly. Socialize responsibly.
Locally distributed by Belfast Estate Limited.
Ooh, oh, oh, KFC. Ooh, oh, KFC. Looking for some place to go. Meals for so KFC. Grab your family and your friends. Join in the experience. KFC. It's the best to be. Made for you and me. KFC. KFC. It's finger licking good.
Exciting news from AutoTrade. Incredible savings are here. Take advantage of AutoTrade's Thrifty Thursday promotion. Mark your calendars. On the last Thursday of each month, AutoTrade is offering up to 20% off items throughout the store. Yes, 20% off. But wait, here's more. Keep your eyes peeled for our exclusive Deal of the Day offer, bringing you even bigger discounts on select items. Whether you're looking for car accessories, maintenance essentials, or just browsing for a great deal, we've got you covered. So be sure to swing by AutoTrade every last Thursday. At AutoTrade, it's more than a vehicle, it's a relationship. Terms and conditions apply.
We're at the different phases in life. We move at a different pace. All we need is to be supported. Cause when the baby's coming, business needs revamping, the new job started, and you need an outfit. Let momentum hook you up. Momentum will hook you up. The wedding's planning, red through dates coming. Momentum is your support financing. Let momentum hook you up. Momentum will hook you up.
Take advantage of NCCU's Momentum Loan and get the support you need for whatever stage you are in life with a tiered interest rate and exclusive emergency fund component. Let NCCU's Momentum hook you up. Call 255-2126. Email membercare@nccudominica.com or visit any NCCU location for more details. Your phase, your pace, our support.
All right, Dominique, it's already 1:17 in the afternoon. And I know a few of you, the majority of you have been monitoring the courts as it relates to the United Workers' Party and one Bernie Ryan taking the government to court on the issue of transparency and the CBI. We're here to give you an update, and Dr. Thompson Fontaine, the leader of the United Workers' Party, will tell us more. Dr. Fontaine, can you bring us up to date as to what is taking place or what took place at the court?
Matt, thank you very much. Well, today was the trial, if you like, of the Bernie Ryan versus the government of Dominica. This is a case that was brought before the courts to, in a way, force the government to account for the CBI, and in particular, in that lawsuit that was brought against the government, we were asking them to reveal the terms of the contract that they have with MMC that would allow them to literally divert hundreds of millions of monies that was meant for Dominica into the private hands of MMC. That was one. We are also asking the court to compel this government, based on Article 17 of our Constitution, to ensure that all of the funds generated through the CBI sales would in fact go to the consolidated fund. And we believe that that has not been done. So these were the two major issues. And the third one, of course, was to ask for any additional, to ask for any additional, show them this, yes, any additional arrangements that were made with any other person outside of MMC as far as our passports were concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So we felt that our senior counsel, who is a former Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, and then Ram Logan, who appeared in person this morning before the court, we thought he made a very compelling case why this should be done. And there was some rebuttal from the government of Dominica, basically arguing that there's nothing wrong, that as far as they're concerned, legally, the arrangement that MMC has with the government of Dominica is legal, and so on, and that the constitution does allow for those types of arrangements. So it really comes down to a question of law and the constitution and our consolidated fund. And the argument that was made by our attorney as well was that it was also contrary to other acts in Dominica, including our Procurement Act. The fact that, because what the government was trying to justify, they had to do it because they were responding after Maria and so on, and they had to do that. So it's a lot of arguments back and forth. But at the end of the day, we thought that we had a very compelling case, because at the heart of this, and what was reviewed by our lawyer very strongly, is that the Dominican people are in the dark as far as the CBI revenues are concerned. For example, we were asking, based on that arrangement that the government has with MMC, did they make a profit? How much went to MMC? How much went to the government? None of those questions were answered by the government. They were supposed to provide those answers. They were not provided. So now the case is before the judge. She has retired, and she has not given a date when she will do a ruling. It is a very compelling case, a very detailed case that she has to take the time to go through. But she will come back with her results at some point.
How optimistic are you, given what you heard in the court, about getting answers favorable to your party?
But from a layman's point of view, just listening to the argument was very straightforward. Basically, the Constitution of Dominica states clearly that any revenues generated by the government of Dominica must go for the consolidated fund. That's unshakable. We were able to prove that that has not been the case with the way the CBI proceeds have come into government. It has not all come from the consolidated fund. So we believe just on law that they have a very strong and competitive case. But of course, at the end of the day, it will be the judge to decide. But I suspect whatever happens, that particular case, given its great importance, not only to Dominica, to other countries in the region of CBI, I suspect that this case will go all the way to the highest appellate court.
CCJ.
Yes.
No, on another matter quickly, Thompson, I heard the Prime Minister, of course, announcing this morning in Parliament, and I think you guys have been requesting that the process as it relates to registration there for the electoral reform, it will commence on, I think, somewhere in March 9th. So, yes, he has actually agreed that, registration will continue. Is that good news for you?
That is good news, but also we are also expecting some kind of apology to the Dominican public and why it took almost a whole year to get that in order. And what's going to happen, a number of persons were denied the need. So while we are happy that it's happening, the question is why it took so long and why only now. But at least now, let's hope the process can move forward. But we are still concerned very much about the confirmation process, though, and the fact that people are still not able to use their birth certificates to confirm, and the number of persons who are being confirmed. That's a big concern for us.
So you're saying the Prime Minister should also have announced that, this birth certificate to use for registration should take place?
Absolutely, Matt. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that was not done, and that really should be done. That the birth certificate, because a number of people are now they're not allowed to confirm because they do not have the required IDs that are asked for, and that's a big, big, big problem.
All right. So when next you said that case will be heard? You just waiting for the judge.
So we're just waiting for the judge. She has to give her ruling as to whether she agrees with our case or the government side of the case. So that is something that all of Dominicans should be looking out for. But let me just say, Matt, a big thank you to the Dominican public, because they came through with support to the party to ensure that they're able to pay. As you know, it's a very costly exercise to be able to host the lawyers in Dominica, to pay their fees and so on. And the Dominican public has been extremely generous in helping us, and we're encouraging others who have not yet pledged their support to do so. We still have outstanding needs, and as I said, we expect this case to go all the way, because I suspect that whatever happens, it will be appealed by either side all the way up to the very highest court. So we still need a lot more resources. And while I want to give a big thank you to the Dominican public, I just want to encourage them to give more, because we're still going to be requiring some more assistance to ensure that we prosecute this case to its fullest.
Who are the lawyers on the government side?
On the government side, Matt, they had a senior counsel from Trinidad and Tobago, and they also had senior counsel Anthony Astafand. So 2 senior counsels representing the government side.
All right. Again, Thompson Fountain, thank you for the update. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Waiting for the judge with bated breath, on this historic case. Statement to Parliament by Honorable Prime Minister resumption of voter registration. I rise on the matter of the long-running suspension of voter registration and the announcement by the Electoral Commission that it is scheduled to resume on March 9, 2026. The government welcomes this development. The right of every eligible Dominican to be registered to vote is foundational to our democratic process. Foundational to our democratic process. It is particularly important for young citizens who have attained voting age and are seeking to exercise their constitutional right for the first time. Mr. Speaker, Section 17.1 of the Registration of Electors Act provides clearly for that there shall be continuous registration of persons qualified under this act to be registered as electors. This imposes a mandatory and ongoing statutory obligation. It does not contemplate suspension on the basis of administrative convenience or technological readiness. The Act contains no provision authorizing the interruption of this continuous registration. The prolonged suspension of voter registration on the state basis that required technology was not ready, therefore represents a serious administrative failure in the discharge of statutory responsibility. The Commission effectively created an administrative impasse through its own deliberate actions and then relied upon the impasse to justify the non-compliance with the law. What makes the situation more concerning is that the Electoral Commission procured a technology-supported voter registration and confirmation system from Simlex International in 2017, capable of using the biometrics of facial and fingerprint recognition for the purposes of voter identification. Notwithstanding this, the Commission indicated that following the passage of the Registration of Electors Act 2025, registration could no longer proceed under the previous legislative framework, which provide for continuous registration. Very interesting coming from the Prime Minister. So pointing fingers at the Commission, huh? Mr. Speaker, even if the preferred technological systems are unavailable, the Commission remained legally obliged to continue registration by manual or legacy methods. It did not do so. The consequences has been a year-long interruption of a statutory process that Parliament clearly intended to be continuous. This has understandably caused public concern, anxiety, and uncertainty. Indeed, the ruling Dominica Labour Party has been prevented for the last 12 months from carrying out a core responsibility of political organizations to bring new orders into the democratic process. While we welcome the resumption of the registration, the circumstances heading to this breach must not be ignored. Public confidence in the electoral system depends upon strict adherence to the law and timely discharge of responsibilities by every institution entrusted with electoral administration. Part of the statement there from the Prime Minister. I'll play the audio sometime later. We're going to come back with more after this.
We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. Well stocked supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meat prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh your one stop. Fresh market,
Bright and Company. Yeah, the Rice and Company. The only company I know with Bryce was cooking water and back and neck. Now with the last valley short. I said Bryce. In the old plus level where you have a roofing material and seamless gutter ring. Yes, 24 gauge governors, all colors. Ever open nipple gas peel agent. They program the computer to give you the exact size you want. And the seamless gutter ring, aluminum, that can better withstand the elements you have in an easy way. So no leaking after a while. And so much more. Bryce and Company, the app by 8 bank close to the old mill at Enfield. Telephone is 617-2468.
Dominicans, enjoy your property, protect your property, you homeowner and businessman, protect your property, enjoy your property, can't wait for the hurricane, can't wait till you flood again, can't wait till you fly out and all your business coming out. Remember, no insurance company will insure your property when a storm is approaching. Get ahead of the hurricane season. Insure with a company who gives you the assurance of payment for your valid claim. Come speak with us today at the New India Assurance Company Limited, upstairs AC Shillingford and Company Limited, 24 King George Street, Roseau. Bring along an up-to-date valuation from a qualified engineer and get insured today.
Hardware and home improvement, building supplies for you, kitchen appliances, even home decor too, lumber, lawn, all your garden supplies, plumbing, welding, electrical supplies.
Visit Do It Center at the former J. Nassif Hardware location on Goodwill Road. Call us at 255-6890. Do it Center.
I wanna drink Dominica best rum with you. I wanna drink Dominica best rum with you. Get the body, drink it every day. Give me energy. Alright, my body. Get the body, drink it every day. Give me energy. Time today, we wake up. Okay, my body. My knee, who's ready? pass estate limited. Drink it, but don't abuse it. Okay, boom!
Today's our fifth Global Q&Q show for 2026, and we continue to engage with our local, regional, and global Q family listeners and friends of Dominica at home and abroad. With me this Tuesday night is my co-host, Justice Dr. Irving Andrews, social scientist Simeon Joseph, former CSA General Secretary Alvin Thomas, and Professor Alex Bruno. Our discussion is in four parts. We will look at the low voter turnout that resulted in Labour Party regimes in Barbados and Dominica. Two, we look at the Labour DLC regimes in Dominica yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We also look at the relationship between Dominica's production, progress, and patriotism. Four, that's the question: does the key to Dominica's future lie in its diaspora human resources? So here are some issues, questions, or if you like, talking point. Does low voter turnout in elections in Barbados and Dominica suggest that Bajans and Dominicans gave up their right to vote or couldn't be bothered? Or were there a lot of people whose names were not on the voters list? Is that 30.8% voter turnout in Barbados the result of an incomplete voters list? Or have the citizens lost trust in the system? Why didn't 70% of the citizens recognize the importance of participating in their democracy? What is driving this phenomenon of low voter turnout in the region? Could that be one of the results of calling elections? How can this be reversed? Is politics now left to the rogues and vagabonds as the people are no longer involved and have lost their trust in the system? What is the role of production, patriotism, and the prodigal son? Does the key to Dominica's future lie in its human resources abroad in the diaspora? What is being done to tap this resource and to tap Dominica's creative energy? How can we unleash Dominica's potential? Does the development of Dominica have to mean opening the legs of the country to the highest foreign bidder? And if the U.S. put an embargo on Western Union and MoneyGram transferring funds to Dominica in retaliation for its cozy relations with Venezuela, China, and Cuba, what will happen to the remittances from abroad of some $1 million a week that assist Dominicans in paying their daily living bills? We look forward to the contributions of Justice Dr. Irving Andrews, social scientist Simeon Joseph, former CSA General Secretary Alvin Thomas, and Professor Alex Bruno, and of course the callers and viewers on the radio, on Facebook and YouTube, on one, how low voter turnout resulted in the proliferation of DLP regimes in Barbados and Dominica, the deliverables from the DLP regime in Dominica yesterday, today, and tomorrow, the relationship between Dominica's production, progress, and patriotism, and four, does the key to Dominica's future lie in its human resources abroad? So tune in to Global Q&Q Tuesday night from 8 p.m. for more.
Of course, Dominica, we're here. And already reactions as it relates to the Prime Minister's announcement today. As it relates to the resumption of voter registration. It has been dragging for almost 1 year now. But if you listen very carefully, he's pointing fingers at the commission for the dragging process. Already some persons are standing by. Maybe we'll discuss that sometime tomorrow. Somebody's now suggesting the Prime Minister is pointing fingers at the Electoral Office, and how does that not do well? But he needs to put the country at rest as it pertains to the next elections, and now have uncertainty with snap elections hanging over. It's of course one of the suggestions. I'm sure we will of course expound on that discussion sometime tomorrow. But on the line with me, speak on other issues. One of your favorite guests on radio, Mr. Anson Jolly. We'll be exploring some issues as it relates to the Carnival and other burning issues. He's on StreamYard this afternoon. But before I introduce Mr. Anderson Jolly, one of your favorite guests on radio now, I'm going to introduce you that statement from the Minister of Tourism, who seems very happy as it relates to the numbers for Carnival 2026. Giving government a lot of praise for the success of this year's Carnival 2026. Mr. Anderson, stand by. Stand by.
Dominica is reporting that over 9,300 people visited our shores in the 2 weeks leading up to Carnival 2026. That's a 13% increase over the same period last year. Air arrivals increased by 14%, while sea arrivals grew by 11%. The Tourism Minister, Honorable Denise Charles Pemberton, says this reflects government's continued investments and improvements in access to the destination.
Government's investments in access, including upgrades to the Douglas Charles Airport, and increased flight capacity from 5,379 seats to over 8,000, have strengthened our ability to welcome visitors for major festivals such as Carnival. We also saw a 38% increase in arrivals on the Friday before Carnival, indicating that more visitors are choosing to travel to Dominica specifically for a Carnival experience. As festival tourism grows, the economic impact is felt by micro, small, and large businesses across the country.
The growth is also credited to the rising popularity of Booyah music.
This progress is a result of deliberate investments in access, more targeted marketing, better use of social media, and the increasing global popularity of Booyah music as a defining sound of Dominican Carnival. Our Booyah artists continue to carry Dominica's culture to regional and international audiences with recent recognition by BET. I encourage all Carnival lovers to support, stream, and promote Dominican Booyah music as an essential part of our national festival identity.
Bouillon music is taking all the praise here. And government's, of course, investment in the infrastructure. Anderson Jolly, you're a businessman. You're a lover of Carnival. From what I know, you do a lot of Carnival visits around the region, St. Kitts and Lucia. What's your take on what you just heard from the Minister of Tourism?
You know, we did have, Matt, quite a few visitors here for the festival, and it was very impressive to see that we had an increased number of people coming to Dominica. You could really tell that the place had a vibe to it, and it had everything was full. There were a lot of shows. And I think that's a good thing. I think the government of Dominica has finally realized that the music of Dominica is one that's special. I think it comes a little late though. For many years, Matt, as you know, going back all the way back to, and I don't know how many people listening to the show remember the early days of WCK or the early days of First Serenade Band. I mean, these folks really made a difference. And meanwhile, while we're getting recognition for the bouillon music, and we're getting this recognition years later. Keep in mind that we had bands like all the bands going back. I would say all the way back to Chubby, that was making music that was representative of that era. Booyah coming along, WCK, First Serenade, and it's just sad that it took 30 years to recognize that we have something good. But it came along finally, and a lot of people have seen that. Our carnival is very impressive. There's a lot more that can be done to make it even better. But we have noticed improvements, and that is something I don't know if the government of Dominica should take credit for, but they should really celebrate the Bouillon artists. Not only that, I hope that they're not just saying that these people are good, but I hope that they're offering them, different stimulus packages or incentives to keep that music going. And Matt, as you know, one of the things that has much been needed in Dominica for a long time is a recording studio. And I know we have a lot of little recording studios, but Matt, do we have an official recording studio in Dominica? As we can say?
Well, I know there are small recording studios, but nothing major from what I gather. Nothing major.
Yeah, so that would be a good investment if the Dominican government wants to put their money where their mouth is, that they can see. Because and not only that, they should bring up competitions, facilitating those things. They should bring up a lot more occasions where the artists can be featured and really, use that revenue stream to help build Dominica. And for many years, Matt, I've come on your show, and I'm not going to repeat this once more, but it is worth repeating that Dominica has a lot of potential. A lot of potential. But the potential in Dominica has been unrealized for many, many years. And it's good to see that the artists are putting it out there. There's still a little bit of turmoil, if you notice, around the artists, though.
I'm gathering from a lot of critics. Yes, the government is taking credit, but the bouillon artists for many years took it upon themselves to promote the music.
That's perfectly true.
100%.
That is perfect. That's perfectly true, and you remember, Matt, going back, I remember the guys from First Serenade and even the guys from WCK. Those guys were working guys, and they usually had to take time off work, request time off. And I remember even people like Shelly, people like Benji from TK. Those guys were working guys, and in the evenings they would go together and put together their music or compilations, and they would make a release. And for several years, Matt, and I don't know if we have this now, and you can correct me, there was not a copyright law in Dominica that we could even talk about. And I don't know, do we have a copyright law now, Matt? That way the music and the productions that these people bring to the table, that way they can get paid for it, whether it be played on the radio or whether it be used for advertising. Do we have a copyright law now that protects them?
I think there is, but they has been represented by Mr. Mark Marie himself, an expert. So, but I can talk to him a little more about that as to more. Yes, we can talk to him.
That would be nice to see. But again, these are all things that the government can help to facilitate the music. Because, and I'm going to go back a little in history here for many people to know that one of the biggest things and failures of Bob Marley was not having good representation. And if you remember, a lot of Bob Marley's music was actually stolen from Bob Marley. A lot of the music that Bob created in his early days was literally was suffered piracy And a lot of the revenue from that music was lost. And it's not until later that people figured how to copyright things and really build revenue streams out of them that got corrected. So we want to learn a lesson from that and make sure that does not happen again. But it is very proud to see people like Asa Bantan, who's been working his tail off, Matt, traveling from place to place. Asa, I think, in my view, is probably one of the biggest representatives of Dominica, whether it be for the French islands. And I know he's been several places, but in the Caribbean, Asa is probably one of the biggest representatives for Dominica. Shelley, excellent songwriter, excellent song artist, has just been dominating the airwaves. As you know, his band, far reaching. Fantasy Tribe has been amazing. So it's good to see those things that come into light and people are recognizing them. And again, Matt, a little late, but always welcomed. So
somebody's actually suggesting here. I want to hear that voice. I want you to hear that voice note.
Sure.
Because persons are not believing as it relates to the statistics presented there by the Minister of Tourism. And let's listen a minute there.
Matt, how do they calculate this when they don't keep records of anything at all? They don't keep records of how many people have passport, how many people don't have, how many people can vote, and how many can't vote. But they can't. How do they keep a tally on that? Because I don't think they know the figures.
This caller basically saying we don't have too much stats of data. How do we calculate such figures when we hear the minister saying that we have increased arrival by 38% and this and that?
Well, Matt, anytime it comes to the statistics that benefit the government, and we've known our Minister of Tourism to floor us with statistics, and we have to fight to recognize what the meaning is, because the baseline numbers are never produced to us. The statistics that she's always provided are always some percentage increase, but we never knew what it was last year, so that we ourselves can probably calculate the figure. But I think anytime the government needs a push, they themselves collect their own statistics. They collect the good, the bad, and the ugly. But again, Matt, this government and this administration has been one that's acted in this way for a very long while. So there's no need for surprise here, and I don't want people to be surprised. This has just been how the government of Dominica has operated. Whenever something benefits them, they run towards it, and if it's not in their best interest, they run away from it and ignore it. So it's just normal, everyday, routine Dominican politics. But Carnival was
a point, because somebody said, I'm actually, just making reference to my Boyd, that web paper. It says that it's interesting that Miss Dennis Roberts, Miss Dennis Charles, can give statistics of final tabulation as it relates to tourism figures. But since 2019, Mr. Skerritt cannot give his final tabulation as to how many passports were stolen, from Dominica, and of course present the figures to Lennox Linton. So you may be right; they presented what they want the public to know.
Yeah, exactly, and it's been that way all along. And if you look at the way that history has gone down with this administration, that's the way it is. But Miss Denise Pemberton, Charles, brings up statistics all the time in terms of the tourism numbers, in terms of the tourism figures, and tells us what these statistics increase and the numbers. And she seems to be quite grand at that. And nobody really can see the baseline figures, but I guess we have to accept her word for it, because, I mean, what else is there to do? But Matt, one of the things that maybe we need to look at, and I'm not here to play devil's advocate or anything, is probably the number of cancellations that we had due to the lack of visa access to Dominica. And I will tell you, we were supposed to have probably, I would say, about 50% more visitors than we did, simply because Even as you know, I'm in the Airbnb business as well, and we had about 50% cancellations in our Airbnb forums. So many of the hotels as well experienced cancellations from visitors that were coming, and they changed their mind
You mean
because of the
from North
news.
America?
Yes, from North America. So while we may have done a little bit better in terms of getting people here, we still have that big challenge and that big hurdle over us. And people came, but I will tell you that we were slotted to have even more people. So that in itself, I don't know how to explain that. Nobody's given us an update on the visa access. It's been about a month and a half so far. Nobody's really told us what direction we're heading with the plans to reinstate Dominica as a viable source into America, or Americans or returning Dominicans coming. A lot of people were very, very afraid to travel if they didn't have a United States passport. So I will tell you that that did occur. But if you notice, there was no mention made of that when Miss Denise Pemberton spoke.
You spoke earlier, Andy, and somebody just sent me some reference to a new modernization library to contain a recording studio and center for performing arts, meaning, as you said, for these bouillon artists and others, a modernized library, including a center for performing arts and recording studio, is a plan that the Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said the government intends to bring to reality. Now, we're talking about January 19th, 2020. That's what the Prime Minister said then. So, where is that studio he made reference to?
Well,
2020.
not just the studio he made reference to, Matt. For a lot of people who listened to that, and I did quite a few years ago, there was also a lot of money that was, I believe, put aside in the aid bank for those recording artists as well to have access to. And if you noticed, if you ask many of the artists, they have had a significant level of difficulty accessing those funds or even getting those funds. And I remember there were thousands of dollars that he mentioned that was put aside for those artists to have access to. And it's nice to know. I don't know if we're familiar with that term called starving artist. But it's nice to know that these guys are putting down some significant productions. They're putting Dominica on the map. I mean, out of all the places that I go to, Matt, I will tell you that Dominican artists are featured on air. In fact, the truth is that some amazing music is coming out of Dominica right now. And I don't think there's any island in the Caribbean that has Carnival that Dominica is not featured. So there has to be some reward for those people. And we obviously cannot wait very long while that reward comes along. But the artists have been doing their part. They have been performing, they have been struggling for it, and they have been doing a good job.
Not take all the credit for the artists that have been pushing bouillon.
Well, I don't think the government should take all the credit. And one of the things that Ms. Denise Pemberton should have brought up is, what is the government doing to help those artists? I would have liked to see that. And what is the government planning? Not just planning, but what have they done to help facilitate those people? And as you know, Matt, the government has used our artists many times over. I want to remind people, when they brought for Creole Festival, they brought Burna Boy here, they brought all these other artists and paid them millions and millions of dollars, and our artists came in and they were paid pennies on the dollar. So I want to remind people that not because it belongs to us, Dominicans, that it should be cheap. And when things like that happen, we have to recognize that the government plays an important role in these things. And we have to let the administration know that our artists are preferred artists. They go elsewhere. They deserve to get their fair market rate, just like they should in Dominica as well.
So you're basically saying they're not being paid enough, like we when we invite the international artists. That's your point.
Well, I think we should be compensated fairly. I do believe that our artists really pull a crowd. And if anybody has doubts on that, you should see how many flags that there were from whether it be St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Grenada, Barbados. All those flags were in their performances. And a lot of these other artists come down. And while they have a lot of notoriety, in the Western world, we have to understand that our artists deserve that extra help to get them out there so that one day they could be as big as those artists as well.
All right, Dominica, 150. Now we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back, Dominica. There's a few things we want to talk about this afternoon, but stick around. I'm going to be talking to Mr. Joshua Francis in a minute there. Let's take this and come back.
Phases in life, we move at a different pace. All we need is to be supported. That's when the baby's coming, business needs revamping, the new job started, and you need an outfit. Let momentum hook you up, momentum will hook you up. The wedding's planning, rent due date's coming, momentum is your support financing. Let momentum hook you up. Momentum will hook you up.
Take advantage of NCCU's Momentum Loan and get the support you need for whatever stage you are in life with a tiered interest rate and exclusive emergency fund component. Let NCCU's Momentum hook you up. Call 255-2126. Email membercare@nccudominica.com or visit any NCCU location for more details. Your phase, your pace.
KFC. KFC. Looking for some place to go. Emails for soul. KFC. Grab your family and your friends. Join in the experience. KFC. It's the place to be, made for you and me. KFC, it's finger licking good.
All right, Dominica, we're back. And of course, we're going to introduce Mr. Joshua Francis in a minute. And stick on the line there as we, of course, discuss a very interesting matter that has broke today. I rise on the matter of the ongoing running suspension of the voter registration and the announcement by the Electoral Commission that it's scheduled to resume on March 9th, 2026. Government welcomes this development. The right of every eligible Dominican to be registered to vote is a foundational to our democratic process. It is particularly important for young citizens who have attained young voter age and are seeking to register to exercise their constitutional right for the first time. Now, this has been going on since maybe last March, so it appears that the commission has been dragging its feet. But do you really want to blame the commission for not continuing with that process? The prime minister is saying at this time that we can put some blame to the commission. But Joshua Francis, what's your take on this new development?
Hi, good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
And good afternoon to your listeners. How are you doing, Mr. Pelty?
Good. And Mr. Andy Jolly is still here.
Oh, Mr. Jolly is here with you as well.
Yes,
Mr. Jolly, good afternoon, sir. How are
Welcome, Joshua. I'm doing good. Good to hear your voice again.
Yeah, thank you. Same here. So, Matt, that statement which you read was drawn to my attention not too long ago, just a few minutes ago. I did not have the opportunity to hear the Prime Minister myself as he delivered in Parliament. But nonetheless, once I heard the statement, it caught my attention immediately for several reasons. What I heard is a Prime Minister, once again, who is trying to avoid responsibility and taking responsibility as a leader of the country. Matt, we know very well that the Electoral Commission is not as independent as we would have liked it to be. The framers of the Constitution of Dominica, when they would have put the Constitution together, it would have been their intention that the Electoral Commission would be very independent. But over the years, given the nature of the persons who have been placed on the commission, we know very well that given the fact that the Constitution provides for 3 persons to be appointed by the government, then naturally with 5 members, the bidding of the government will occur. Now, as you know, there are 5 members with 2 being appointed by the advice of the Prime Minister and 1 by the President of Dominica through her own discretion. And we know how that works. So having said that, it is interesting that the Prime Minister, and I want to comment on that first item, it is interesting that the Prime Minister says that the Dominica Labour Party, nor the government of Dominica, interferes with the operation of the Electoral Commission, when in a previous statement, or in a previous line in his statement, he says that the government of Dominica has had a discussion with the Electoral Commission, and the Commission has agreed with their suggestion for the reinstatement of the use of a passport-size photo to facilitate registration of voters. What does that say, Matt? Isn't that some kind of influence?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that some kind of interference?
It's obvious.
It is obvious. So when the Prime Minister made the statement to give us the impression that the 3 individuals outside of Hillary Shillingford and Wayne James would not be doing the bidding of the government, we all know that is untrue. The reason why we have been in this situation, first and foremost, is because the Commission thought that they were going to help the Dominica Labour Party by hastily making certain decisions, more so going against the original SRO and instituting SRO 39 to allow persons to register to vote only through the use of a national ID, that is the passport, a valid driver's license, or social security card. And of course, we know that the Dominica Labour Party helped in the process, and they were actually providing finances and providing facilities for persons without passports or one of the IDs to get those IDs to register to vote. That happened in several constituencies. I know it is a fact that in the Carnival territory, as an example, we had operatives of the Dominica Labour Party going around and taking photographs of persons at their homes, taking passport forms at their homes, and facilitating the process for the persons to get their passports. And there were several beneficiaries under that DLP program in the Kalinago territory. Persons were able to get their passports without having to go to Roseau. So clearly it was discriminatory. So for now, the Prime Minister to come and make it appear that he was so much against the SRO 49, it's hypocritical when he actually, his party was actually pushing an agenda which caused, or which eventually failed. It was a failed experiment. And of course, he and his government came under pressure from inside and outside to have a conversation with the Electoral Commission. But let's talk about the Electoral Commission here, Matt, because there's also a very interesting point where the Prime Minister attempted to throw the Electoral Commission of Dominica under the bus, whereby he speaks of Section 17.1 of the Electors Act 2025, providing for continuous voter registration. And that's a fact, that the law did not provide or does not provide for any discontinuance of voter registration. So when that happened, it raised constitutional questions. And as you know, several persons made their comments known publicly, and eventually the Electoral Commission responded by saying, as of March 9th, we'll resume the registration of voters. But why did we get there, Matt? We got there because, once again, this government is irresponsible. We had a government that went into Parliament and passed the law. They deliberately passed the law. It wasn't a situation where it came down from heaven and it just happened. This is a government that went into Parliament, passed the law, before it had proper consultation with the Electoral Commission of Dominica. Had there been proper consultation, or proper connection between the Electoral Commission and the government of Dominica, the government would have ensured that everything was in place, including these technological requirements, the software and the hardware. So this talk about the Electoral Commission had purchased materials from Simlex since 2017, trying to suggest that they could have used those technology we have heard certain members of the Electoral Commission, namely Hillary Shillingford and Wayne James, sharing their views to the public on those subject matters. We heard that this technology, this hardware, had some issues and therefore could not have been used, and therefore new ones had to be purchased. But more so, the question is, who retained the services of Simlex? Is it the government of Dominica or the Electoral Commission? Again, that raises a question of independence. So there was always an issue. There were always mishaps. There were always some kind of question about whether those facilities from the Simlex were ready to provide the type of service that was required by the Electoral Commission. But having said that, Matt, the point that I want to make is for the public to appreciate that this statement made by the Prime Minister of Dominica, once again, is to avoid taking responsibility, to make it appear that his government is and was always responsible and ready to cause electoral reform in Dominica.
So you think he's throwing the commission under the bus?
He threw the commission under the bus, but we must extract Hillary Shillingford and Wayne James from that bus, because we heard Hillary Shillingford and Wayne James on several occasions right here on Matt's program, your program, telling the public the issues they had with the other members of the Electoral Commission in respect to electoral reform. And I remember very clearly Wayne James and Hillary saying that the Electoral Commission was not ready for the effect to put or to effectuate the new law. And it came to pass. The reason why we had the discontinuance is simply because the Electoral Commission was not ready. There was no training of the registration of the registering officers under the new law. There were absence of hardware and software. And that is basic math. Again, as I said, had the government been working properly with the Electoral Commission, all those things would have been in place before the passage of the law. Or the law could have been passed, but the effectual date could have been extended somewhere to 2026 just to allow or to accommodate the Electoral Commission. So, Matt, what we are seeing here is once again dishonesty on the part of the leadership of this country. Once again, we are seeing a leadership that is misleading the public, a leadership that fails to take responsibility and accountability for its failures, a leadership that is not genuine and acting in the best interest and in good faith, in the best interest of Dominicans and acting in good faith. Because, Matt, there are still several questions about this whole electoral process in Dominica, one of which is the failure of this government to consider campaign finance legislation in Dominica. So whilst we welcome these new electoral laws as far as voter ID and so on and so forth, we continue to have a major problem with our electoral process in Dominica, and that is the absence of campaign finance legislation. Until we get campaign finance legislation, what we're going to have is a Dominica Labour Party that will get monies from donors. We don't know who they are. We don't know how much money that is being given, and we don't know what are the terms and references concerning the receipt of those monies. And that's a big issue because we have seen the monetarization of politics. We have seen that politics has become very transactional. Big money gets victories. And we have to continue to press this government to do what is in the best interest of our people. And that is to include campaign finance legislation in Dominica.
Mr. Joshua Francis, again, thank you. I think Mr. Wayne James and not Hillary Shillingford will join us in a minute. But Andy, you want to...
Hey, Matt, I always want to chime in. First of all, Joshua, to your part, I have to applaud you and all the other people out there who still assume that we can possibly have a free and fair election. Voter financing, election financing is one of the biggest issues with the elections that we've had. We've seen massive amounts of money being wasted every time there was an election. Probably the second thing I would say is that we need some electoral reform around the number of terms that anybody can spend in these departments. And then, Matt, if we wanted to fix Dominica in one shot, we have too many people who are being appointed to positions, and the appointment of positions is creating a large problem simply because people are appointing people to positions who are not qualified for the job that they are doing. And in the effect that they are not doing a good job, therefore they are not removed from those positions. So, Joshua, one of the questions I really want to ask you is, do you see that there may be a possibility to even have a fair and free election without some sort of independent third party walking in and creating that space where people can feel transparent, where people can feel whole and not afraid? Because Matt, I think the reason why we would possibly have low voter turnout is because a lot of people are just giving up. They do not trust the process. They do not trust Roosevelt's character. I mean, if people out there and they trust Roosevelt's character, I will tell you that that is a fallacy. That man has very little trust in him. His words cannot be taken with any significant value. So, Joshua, my question to you is, do you see a day in Dominica that we can possibly have a free and fair election?
Are you there, sir, Joshua?
Yes, I am. I am, Andy, and thank you for your question. I think that we can have free elections in terms of the movement of persons physically, but mentally we will not have a free election as long as people continue to be bribed. And we know that is part of the political DNA of the Dominican Labour Party. It has been able to use its financial resources to bribe a number of vulnerable Dominicans. In certain constituencies, persons who work under the NEP program are mortally afraid to share their views, which are dissenting to that of the government.
Oh, hold on there, Joshua. I think Mr. Hillary Shillingford is on the telephone with me. I'm trying to, of course, moderate you three guys there. Hillary, you've heard the statement from the Prime Minister from Parliament this morning, throwing the Commission under the bus as to, the readiness to, of course, register new voters. What's your take on what's going on?
Matt, I have not heard the statement in its entirety.
I sent it to you.
But I heard.
I sent it to you.
I saw you send it to me, but I have not opened it.
Yes.
And I heard Joshua Francis in basically dissecting the statement.
Right.
And I want.
Are you there?
Looks like we may have lost Hillary.
Are you there? You've gone mute there. Are you
no.
Go ahead. Yes.
I muted the phone in error.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what was the last thing you heard me say.
Basically, you heard Joshua Francis analyzing the statement.
Oh, right. I heard him dissecting the statement by the Prime Minister.
Right.
And I'm saying that I can categorically say that I can speak for myself.
Right.
And Commissioner Wayne James. What I want to say for a fact is, if you jump off a bus, man, can you be thrown under the bus? Here it is, the Prime Minister making a statement that is absolutely untrue in Parliament, in the highest court of the land. Parliament is the highest court of the land. And Matt, you remember clearly that I told your radio station several times that Wayne James was the point man on the issue of the stop registration, the halting of the registration. Every meeting we had, Wayne James would say over and over, this is a ticking time bomb. It's going to explode. And he's been calling for the re-registration, for the registration of new voters to start, Matt. So clearly, when the Prime Minister makes that nonsense statement, we know he's talking about his commissioners. They're doing it only to satisfy him, to appease him, to give the Labour Party an unfair advantage, man. Because they are the largest of money. You know? I am saying to you, Matt, like I said before, several times I said the commission. Every meeting we had at the commission, in the minutes we show, I kept asking the chairman, Duncan Stowe, where did the Simlex come back in the picture? How did Simlex come back? The commission took no decision to bring back Simlex. And I kept saying they came through the back door. Simlex, we saw news reports on Simlex. We saw what they were involved in Africa. And as such, we were advised not to deal with Simlex. So I'm saying to you, Matt, the both issues that the government bring in, they are the ones that fall. Every commission on the government and the president's side is a passport salesman. Do you understand what I'm saying, Matt? So one Simlex, which I fought against Simlex,
The Prime Minister dumped the real piece of legislation we had that we would have finished it that long time. From Sir Dennis after the Prime Minister paid him almost $750,000. The Prime Minister trashed the document and they prepare a piece of garbage from the legal affairs, from the Ministry, the Attorney General office. A piece of garbage that falling short on all issues. Matt, again, we had Ian Anthony. Very, very competent young man, Matt. He dissected the law, and piece by piece he was dealing with the laws prepared by them fellas. And what did they do? They indirectly fired him. They did not renew his contract. They brought in somebody who doesn't have the competence of him. Ian Anthony is a man with a master's degree, doing his master's now in law. And his area is drafting, Matt. So there could be nobody more competent than him for that position. And Roosevelt Skerritt and the Labour administration, supported by the 3 members on the commission. Matt, it is a sad day for Dominican. Everything Skerritt laying blame on somebody. When in fact, when James and I came to you several times, telling you what was happening at the commission, 3 senior lawyers. When they were working, I told you that before, and I'm telling you it again. When they were working with Sir Dennis Byron, he told them it's a shame to have 3 senior lawyers and have to disagree for you so many times. Every time we in an argument, they would lose on a legal point, and they are lawyers. So I just saying to you, Matt, that the nonsense the Prime Minister talking in Parliament today, I believe is some foreign intervention. When he's saying he has met with the Commission, I don't know about that, asking us to go back to the picture, passport size photo, and an affidavit from a justice of peace or whatever. So that in itself, I believe we had some foreign intervention. I'm waiting to see, because I called the Prime Minister. We spoke for over 37 minutes on that. And he agreed. But he said he could not do anything. It's the commission, because it's good cop, bad cop, you know, man. One will criticize and one will do the dirty work. So it is left to Dominicans to dissect what has happened. Go back to the clips from Hillary Shillingford and Wayne James. Wayne James, Joshua Francis did it well. Solid piece of contribution. After hearing him, I didn't even have to go back into reading what you sent me yet. And I just wanted to make my point before the day ends.
Okay.
So I'm saying to Dominicans, you heard it all. Look at it. Remember what I brought you. Remember what I told you when James said. And I would hope when James will defend himself today. Because I've said it before, that he was the point man. He was the lead person on the issue of the suspension of the registration of voters. And I pray that when James will come out and speak.
All right. Thank you. Now, we still have Joshua Francis, and we still have Mr. Andy Jordan on the line. Are you there, Mr. Joshua, before we go back to...
Yes, I am.
Yes. Interesting discussion there.
Yes, and I just heard Mr. Shillingford, and I support what he said. It is factual that he is on public record making certain statements that the Electoral Commission was not ready to discharge the services under the Electors Act of 2025. It is clear that the persons responsible would have been the operators within the government system. The government has to take responsibility for that situation. Keep in mind, Matt, the Electoral Commission is financed by the government of Dominica, more so before the new Electoral Commission Act was enacted in 2025. So the Electoral Commission would not have been able to finance training of registering officers, purchase of software materials, until and unless they were financed by the government of Dominica. But I made that important point, Matt, that why we found ourselves in that situation is simply because of the negligence and casual governance in Dominica. And we have a prime minister who never likes to take responsibility. He always finds somebody to blame for the failures of the government, and that is just another example. Now, the Prime Minister made a point that the Electoral Commission ought to have continued with registration, whether it's by manual processes or not. But the Prime Minister ought to have known when he made the statement that anything that the Electoral Commission would have done that would not be in compliance with the New Electors Act 2025 would have been null and void. So this manual suggestion that he made clearly has no place under the Electors Act of 2025. But that is just another way of polishing the situation for the Prime Minister to look good and for the Electoral Commission to look bad. And by no means are necessarily promoting the actions or inaction of the Electoral Commission over the past couple of years. But I would say that Hillary and Wayne James must be exempted from laying any blame on the Electoral Commission. But Matt, we are where we are. Just to answer Andy before I leave and to allow your callers to weigh in on the matter. Andy asked the question whether we'll ever have a free and fair election in Dominica, and the answer would be no, unless we have a change of government and we put persons of integrity in the right places to allow the electoral process to operate the way it was intended to operate in Dominica. But as long as we have politicians within the Dominican Labour Party government using money to bribe, using employment opportunities to bribe, using government resources to subject people to fear, to victimize, then clearly the electoral process is not fair. Remember, polling day is just part of the electoral process. So somebody entering a polling station on polling day could have been influenced in years of weeks and months leading up to the election. And then, Matt, of course, the absence of campaign finance is a big thing. The absence of campaign finance legislation, that's major. Because we have no way of regulating the amount of money a political party can have, where it gets the money, how it gets the money, how it spends the money. And in modern democracies, there are examples throughout, even within the Caribbean, where legislation is meant to regulate the use of campaign finance. And until we have that in Dominica, Andy, I don't see we have enough fair election.
All right, Mr. Thank you for joining us this discussion.
Thank you.
Because you heard Andy, there's no way, things are not put in
Matt, people.
Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things, Matt, that we need to look at is to understand that a lot of people think the government of Dominica is a different entity than Mr. Roosevelt's carried. I want to remind many people that this is the same entity, and it is very hard for you to literally go out and vote or outvote somebody who is paying your bills, Matt. The person who's paying your bills is the person that you either have to vote in or vote out. We need to make sure that everything is independent. People do not feel independent in Dominica. We understand the rules and the regulations are being bent at any chance that they can. We understand that things are being manipulated at the highest levels to create results that facilitate one person. So if we understand that, Matt, we should not expect that things below it are going to work out all fine. The system is rigged, and it is rigged poorly. For many times, Matt, I've come on your show and I've told it to you that when Mr. Roosevelt's scared something happens, usually he has something that is blamed. But here it is, that he's the one man that the buck stops with. Matt, remember a few months ago, I came on your show. I made an open offer that I would produce $5,000 if you thought that the airport was going to finish before the tennis court on High Street. I don't know if you remember that. You remember that, right?
I remember that.
Matt, this was months ago. You mean to tell me the tennis court on High Street has not been even been approached or fixed as of yet? And all the money for that project is gone, and nobody wants to do anything with it. Matt, we talked about that. Simple things. Our garbage collection is not being done. Again, we're being manipulated. Why? Because the person who is responsible for the trucks, we get new trucks, and we get old trucks, and we get Matt, so many things are being manipulated, and people have to open their eyes and see this. This system that we have in Dominica is not fair. It is not honest. And Matt, I'm going to tell you, the people who are the crooks, the people who are manipulating the system for their own gains, are getting away with it on a daily basis. And they are standing on the podium and telling you how good it is, or it's okay, there's no problem, we're out here trying to help you, when we all know that what they're doing is literally undermining Dominica as a society. So we need to make sure we watch out for these things. They are called white collar criminals, and that is what we have a lot of these days, trying to pull the wool over our eyes. I don't believe that we should listen or trust anything that Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit has to say. I don't think that our elections in Dominica will ever be free and fair. Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit told us a year ago, Matt, are we coming up on April? Oh no, we're not. We're about a month away. He told us, was it this April or last April that he was supposed to be out of the race? Was it? He said, was it last April? Yeah, he said that I am going to be done with elections. I would like to see transfer of power be passed on to somebody else. Lies, Matt, lies. And Matt, how are we expected to be honest and have the gentleman who is heavily guarded by our police, who heavily influences our court system, who heavily influences our investment system, who heavily influences our banking system, who heavily influences everything in Dominica? How can we be expected to get anything fair from this person? Everyone beneath him is being manipulated right now. So I applaud Joshua for following this thing, man, and I applaud you, but I have zero hope for getting a good end result.
You have hope, no hope at all for, a fair election in Dominica.
And Matt, look at that. Our prime minister in a suffering country just bought a brand new vehicle last year, valued at over $120,000. He said he got it as a gift. Up to today, there's nobody in Dominica, and I will give 10,000 EC dollars to the person in Dominica who can call me and tell me who we got it as a gift from and what we had to do in order for us to get that gift. Because, Matt, I am dying to know who that person gave us a $120,000 US Toyota Land Cruiser as a gift for our prime minister. Why is our prime minister so loved by somebody that they give him a gift worth that much? And I want to know that. And that passes for our customs duty free. That passes for our system duty free. And Matt, guess who pays the gas on those vehicles? Duty free. And Matt, you want to know another interesting point? I'm going to bring this up to you because a lot of people in Dominica do not know this right now. All our government vehicles are self-insured, whether it be police, fire service, all of those are self-insured. Do you know what self-insurement means, Matt? Do you know what that means?
Tell us.
That us, as the people of Dominica, we insure our own vehicle. So anything that happens to that prime minister's vehicle, or anything that happens to our police vehicles, or any maintenance that's required by those vehicles, we, the citizens of Dominica, are the ones who pay for it. So when our prime minister brings in a $120,000 US vehicle, if he needs a part for that vehicle, we pay for it. If that vehicle gets into an accident, any of the GAs that you see on the road, Matt, we are the people. These vehicles are not being insured by a company like a regular person. Matt, you have a vehicle, maybe you have Nagico, maybe you have, what are the other insurances out there? Beacon Insurance. New India Insurance. Matt, the government does not have those insurances. They pay for their own vehicles themselves. And that means when the government pays, Guess whose pocketbook it comes out of? It comes out of the people, the poor people of Dominica are the ones who end up paying for not just to maintain those vehicles. If those vehicles get into an accident, if they need body work, if they need anything, including gasoline or diesel. Now, in a day and age like today, Matt, I'm going to tell you one of the things that, my brother taught me. Here it is that we're using all these vehicles and that are solar charged, solar power, but our prime minister does not get a solar charged, solar powered vehicle. Instead, gas or diesel. Do you believe that? What kind of blatant action does our prime minister take right in front of our eyes? This is the height of ignorance. I just cannot believe it that we're sitting here in a day 2026 and we're watching these things happen right in front of our face. Nobody can tell me why our prime minister got that gift or from who it's from. If somebody can please call me and tell me, I will sleep better tonight, Matt.
All right. We're going to take a break. Some people want to know what's the latest on your case. Maybe when we come back, you give us some answers on that one. We're going to take a break.
Yes.
We'll come back.
With me this Tuesday night is my co-host, Justice Dr. Irving Andrews, Special Scientist Simeon Joseph, former CSA General Secretary Alvin Thomas, and Professor Alex Bruno. Our discussion is in 4 parts. We look at low voter turnout that resulted in Labour Party regimes in Barbados and Dominica. 2, we look at deliverables from DLP regimes in Dominica yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We also look at the relationship between Dominica's production, progress, and patriotism. 4, we'll ask the question, does the key to Dominica's future lie in its diaspora human resources? So here are some of these questions, or if you like, talking point. Does low voter turnout in elections in Barbados and Dominica suggest that Bajans and Dominicans gave up their right to vote or couldn't be bothered? Or were there a lot of people whose names were not on the voters list? Is that 30.8% voter turnout in Barbados the result of an incomplete voters list? Or have the citizens lost trust in the system? Why didn't 70% of the citizens recognize the importance of participating in their democracy? What is driving this phenomenon of low voter turnout in the region? Could that be one of the results of calling snap elections? How can this be reversed? Is politics now left to the rogues and vagabonds as the people are no longer involved and have lost their trust in the system? What is the role of production, patriotism, and the prodigal son? Does the key to Dominica's future lie in its human resources abroad in the diaspora? What is being done to tap this resource and to tap Dominica's creative energy? How can we unleash Dominica's potential? Does the development of Dominica have to mean opening the legs of the country to the highest foreign bidder? And if the U.S. puts an embargo on Western Union and MoneyGram transferring funds to Dominica in retaliation for its cozy relations with Venezuela, China, and Cuba, what will happen to the remittances from abroad of some $1 million a week that assist Dominicans in paying their daily living bills? We look forward to the contributions of Justice Dr. Irving Andrews, Social Scientist Simeon Joseph, former CSA General Secretary Alvin Thomas, and Professor Alex Bruno, and of course the callers and viewers on the radio, on Facebook and YouTube, on one, how low voter turnout resulted in the proliferation of DLP regimes in Barbados and Dominica, the deliverables from the DLP regime in Dominica yesterday, today, and tomorrow, the relationship between Dominica's production, progress, and patriotism, and 4, does the key to Dominica's future lie in its human resources abroad? So tune in to Global View on Q Tuesday night from 8 p.m. for more.
In London, Goldwyn is now retired and back living in Dominica enjoying his pension. He too should got smile so we can see the gold teeth and too should I met him coming out of Flosses with the help of some staff carrying different foods, drinks, and meats to his vehicle. Myself too fast to go and ask the man what's up. Is their story start? And when we finish have I word, so that Kadimo de San Dominic for fini la hamwe. I said, Goldwyn, speak in English, don't force it. Then he said, I stopped at the yeah? At Flosses, we get the most reasonable prices. What about flour, rice, sugar, milk, beers, soft drinks, water, rum, and so much more. Prices and quantities to fit your needs. days, mate. Mama days, come on, got here, mate, because you just come down and want to tell me what I know about process already. That's where I shop. It's not your route that want to save money but still get the quality goods. That's right. And if you're listening to this ad, go and check out Flosses for yourself. Next to the Roseau Market, you can.
Now opened on Sunday from 10 a.m. to 1.
We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. We're stock, supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meats prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meal, sandwiches, salads and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh your one stop.
Anytime, whatever you're doing, stop. You confirm to exercise your right, your vote, your party, your responsibility. This fresh confirmation process gives you the power and authority to choose your candidate. Don't miss this opportunity. Don't let it pass you by. Go exercise your right. The professor unbelievable vote. Your vote is important. Make it count. You make first communion. Now it's your time to confirm. To vote. Pato Terry Shodi T-Boy Lucia Kami already confirmed. Hurry, join the confirmation process. Make sure your name is big and bold on the electors list. Go and register in the names that you can do. Make sure you work with your witness in your polling station who is already registered. Do it early, do it fast, do it now. Call the confirmation hotline at 617-9595 or 275-8164. Do it because that makes you 100% Dominican.
There's so many issues to explore. Try to deal with them one at a time. And then before we go to your case, and you'll give us a latest report on that one. A lot of business places, and we've touched on it sometime, are missing out because their goods seem to be going back where it came from because of rough seas. How do you propose that we correct this one?
Well, Matt, is it rough seas alone? Because from the stories that are being told right now with the business people and what we're experiencing, it's not just rough seas, Matt. It's the traffic in Roseau, the lack of parking in Roseau. It's the business environment in Roseau in terms of people just don't have. I wouldn't say disposable income. I would even say income. To a matter of fact, the rough seas are just one of them that are increasing cost. We've seen numerous boats, Matt, and Matt, this didn't only happen this year. For many people, they might not be aware of this, but this has been happening probably consistently for probably the last 3 or 4 years. That tropical shipping, King Ocean, or the vessels that are bringing our goods to market are literally being turned back, whether it be for the cement boat or whether it be for the tourist boats. And that has really been hurting the business the business environment. It's really been hurting us, Matt. Tourist season might be good for the people who enjoy tourists, but for the businesses, it really has become a strain on us. And I don't see any way that anybody's making any effort. Roseau becomes jam-packed. The roads and the streets are closed off. And Mark, we also have a double factor today. We have the roads being closed off for tourists, and then we also have the roads being closed off for Parliament today as well. And that's creating just a mess. And I don't know how long business people can suffer with this, because this will lead to closing of many businesses, Matt. Our goods a lot of time have expiration dates on it. As you know, I'm in pharmacy, and many of the other businesses sell food products as well. And those things being turned back just one extra week, Matt, is a significant delay. So I don't know if the government is really even looking at that. That would be a good question for Miss Denise Charles, and see if she can say, hey, I know we're having a very robust tourist season, but what about the businesses who are suffering out there due to the either A, the traffic, or two, the turnbacks of the vessels that are bringing cargo to us? That would be a good question, Matt. What do you think?
I think so. But Andy, let's move to Parliament. Today, some interesting bills were passed, and we've heard from the Attorney General just maybe last month that he says, they're up to date and they're going to be passing this piece of legislation for the lawyers. That is what he said. I can
finally, yes.
But will it really come to pass? Because it's been dragging some time.
Matt, I'm going to tell you, any approach that is made is welcome, because some of these, Matt, some of the horrific things that have been going on, and Matt, here's where I don't know if things grab me. I'm going to be okay with what was done to me. What was done to me was unjust. What was done to me as a citizen, loyal, tax-paying citizen of Dominica, has been one of the worst things that I've experienced. The help that we've received from the police department has been minimal. But Matt, here's what really gets me. I'm an outstanding citizen. I have the means. What do you think happens to the other people out there, the least of our brothers, the people who don't have enough that are being taken advantage of? What do you think happens to those people, Matt? I just beg to I suffer when I think about it, that there are our other brothers and sisters who maybe have a piece of land, who maybe have that one thing that their parents left for them. What do you think happens to those people? Do you think they just go crazy or insane, or they try to commit suicide or something? What do you think happens to them?
I think they're more stressed out and taking in everything at this time because they're not getting the help that they need.
No help at all, Matt. It has not been very forthcoming. I will tell you, the attorney, Kondwani Williams, that took advantage of us at Jolly's Pharmacy. I'm going to tell you, for this to happen to somebody, I'm not saying somebody like us, like we're special, but on this grand scale, imagine what he would have done to somebody who just walks the street, who was normal, who didn't have a voice to speak out, or who didn't have the money to continue on. That person would have failed horribly. So the government has to look at that. These praise, or these gentlemen who are preying on the poor people of Dominica have been out there, and they need to be taken care of immediately, Matt. This is not the way for an established country. And after,
hold on, I'm hearing through the grapevine though, Andy, but some effort has been made though to settle your matter.
Matt, there's been a lot of effort. It's 1 year for many people who don't know this. There's been 1 year since I went to the police station and filed a case against Mr. Kondwani Williams for the theft of $1.5 million, Matt. And the police have threatened to arrest him several times. And Matt, it is amazing with the excuses that we have heard why Kondwani Williams cannot be arrested. There was one time that they called and apparently he was sick. So they couldn't arrest him because he was sick. And there was the other time that they went to look for him and they couldn't find him. And there was the other time where we're busy right before Carnival. I mean, just the excuses that have come down the grapevine. However, since the arrest has been threatened, there have been some funds that have come through to try to repay back this burden. But Matt, it has been a burden on Jolly's Pharmacy to lose that much money. It has been a burden on Jolly's Pharmacy to lose that much, that much hope, man. It's a mental thing. I mean, just think of you losing $1.5 million and having to beg back for it like a second class citizen. It is a shame. And you know, Matt, what I like about this, and I appreciate you giving me a voice on your station, because so many people around the world have been listening. And they've come up to me and said, Andy, I didn't know that Kondwani was a thief. Andy, I didn't know that Dominica did not have laws that prevented attorneys from keeping your money. I thought we had a system to protect us as people. And people have held back their investments from this attorney because of what we brought to light. So we have actively saved a few lives in the process, Matt. So there's a
Andy,
lot of people that have commended us.
making that declaration there, Andy, a lot of people have called. As a matter of fact, I received a call from England just yesterday who said, and I mean, I've discussed that before, that he received for about 500,000, close to 500,000 for a property, and passed on the funds to lawyers there, and he only receives back 89,000. So you know there are other issues. There are other people who are suffering as well, but don't have the capacity to call and speak about it. So there are other,
Yeah.
not only you, people are suffering.
Matt, it's a very sad case, and it is. I'm telling you, this law was supposed to be passed so long. I am glad that we brought it to the forefront. And Matt, I'm just telling you, the people of Dominica, the poor people of Dominica, have suffered at the hands of these white collar criminals for too long, Matt. We need to create a just system. And Matt, a lot of us wonder, why isn't Dominica thriving like St. Lucia or like St. Kitts or like Grenada? It is because this distrust in the system exists. The distrust in the human beings that are meant to protect us, the distrust in the police, the distrust in the court system. Those things need to be rectified before we can accelerate Dominica into the place it was meant to be. That is what needs to go on. So I'm glad that people are looking at it, and I'm glad that they're bringing things to the forefront. But Matt, you know what it shouldn't take? It shouldn't take your show to do that. It should take the honesty of the police. It should take the honesty of the government. It should take the honesty of the courts to see that people are being abused and do something about it.
Andy, let's take a quick break. We'll come back, of course, for the final closing comments. We're closing up at about 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Today's our fifth Global Q&Q show for 2026, and we continue to engage with our local, regional, and global Q family listeners and friends of Dominica at home and abroad. With me this Tuesday night is my co-host, Justice Dr. Irving Andrews, social scientist Simeon Joseph, former CSA General Secretary Alvin Thomas, and Professor Alex Bruno. Our discussion is in 4 parts. We look at low voter turnout that resulted in Labour Party regimes in Barbados and Dominica. 2, we look at deliverables from DLP regimes in Dominica yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We also look at the relationship between Dominica's production, progress, and patriotism. 4, we'll ask the question, does the key to Dominica's future lie in its diaspora human resources? So here are some issues, questions, or if you like, talking point. Does low voter turnout in elections in Barbados and Dominica suggest that Bajans and Dominicans gave up their right to vote or couldn't be bothered? Or was there a lot of people whose names were not on the voters list? Is that 30.8% voter turnout in Barbados the result of an incomplete voters list? Or have the citizens lost trust in the system? Why didn't 70% of the citizens recognize the importance of participating in their democracy? What is driving this phenomenon of low voter turnout in the region? Could that be one of the results of calling snap elections? How can this be resolved? Is politics now left to the rogues and vagabonds as the people are no longer involved and have lost their trust in the system? What is the role of production, patriotism, and the prodigal son? Does the key to Dominica's future lie in its human resource abroad in the diaspora? What is being done to tap this resource and to tap Dominica's creative energy? How can we unleash Dominica's potential? Does the development of Dominica have to mean opening the legs of the country to the highest foreign bidder? And if the U.S. put an embargo on Western Union and MoneyGram transferring funds to Dominica in retaliation for its cozy relations with Venezuela, China, and Cuba. What will happen to the remittances from abroad of some $1 million a week that assist Dominicans in paying their daily living bills? We look forward to the contributions of Justice Dr. Irving Andre, social scientist Simeon Joseph, former CSA General Secretary Alvin Thomas, and Professor Alex Bruno, and of course the callers and viewers on the radio, on Facebook and YouTube, on one how low voter turnout resulted in the proliferation of VIP regimes in Barbados and Dominica, the deliverables from the VIP regime in Dominica yesterday, today, and tomorrow, the relationship between Dominica's production, progress, and patriotism, and four, does the key to Dominica's future lie in its human resources abroad? So tune in to Global View on Q Tuesday night from 8 p.m. for more.
Now, when somebody's asking me to ask the business people in Dominica, what happened to the state-of-the-art cargo port promise on the Donkey Beach and the cruise village promised on the public work sites? Dominicans just look like a manifesto pictures hanging on their wall. So, Andy, a lot have been promised, but not delivered thus far. I'm hoping that within the next year or two, maybe we'll have some of his promises kept.
Matt, I don't think we should wait for those promises to be kept. We're seeing a continuous decline in Dominica where people are leaving. The agenda of Mr. Roosevelt's scare is not very clear, meaning that it almost seems like he is almost working his way to the destruction of Dominica rather than the building of Dominica. So anytime that I see somebody walking down this road, Matt, I believe our government has been compromised. Maybe it might be funds from China, maybe it may be some other developed country, but I believe our government has been compromised significantly. The decisions that they're taking are not in the best or the benefit of the Dominican people. I can tell you, if I want somebody to succeed, this is not the road that we're going down. Many of the monies that are being spent, many of the projects that are being done, these, Matt, we have some hotels here, and I'm just going to tell you, and I know we have about 6 or 7 of them that are still being built with no ETA as of yet. But for those that are built, Matt, how ETA, exactly. How many Dominicans, including you and myself, can go there and spend 2 or 3 nights and not with the salaries that we currently have in Dominica? How many people can actively do that? These things are not being built for Dominicans. They are being built for somebody else. I am going to tell you, the airport, meanwhile, I think it's a worthwhile venture. I really wish the government of Dominica,
you don't see it becoming a reality anytime soon?
Well, not as soon as they say it will become a reality. Maybe and again, the question is, Matt, we have so much left to do. And a thing like the airport, Matt, I'm going to tell you, a thing like the airport, and I just want you to work with me for a little bit. Yes, we're building a runway and we're building a building. Matt, for an international airport, there are certain requirements that you're going to have. You're going to have fire services.
Hold that thought there. Somebody's on the telephone for a minute there. Are you there? Sorry, missed that call. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
So, Matt, we're going to have fire personnel. We're going to have trained personnel to handle whether it be refueling, whether it be cargo management. We're going to have trained personnel in the hospitality industry. We're going to have so much, Matt. I cannot see it coming through within the time space that is proposed. So I don't know how to tell it to you. I want to see it happen. I want to see it become a reality, but I want also the government of Dominica to take their time and give people a good build. We're gonna need roads as well, Matt. Our roads are in terrible, terrible shape. But Matt, did you have a chance to see the accident that happened yesterday? There was a big accident with a tourist bus yesterday.
I saw the picture, but I don't have the report on that.
Yes, but our roads are in need of some significant repairs, Matt, in order to make them safer for the people who are doing it. And Matt, we need to stop this thing where what we're doing is before Carnival and before Creole Festival, we're patching the road. We need to stop that. I mean, that is just arrogant behavior.
To create an impression, that's all it is.
Yeah, but Matt, why are we doing that? Are you saying that the diaspora, the ones who need the good road, and the Dominican people do not need it? I mean, why are we trying to create impressions? Why not just do good service for the people of Dominica? Why not we give them good roads? We give them good drainage of those roads. Why don't we do something good? Why do we always have to create an impression?
Are you there, Carla? Person have been trying.
Yes, Matt, I'm tired of asking you. Do you know whether the money to enhance roads is in Dominica already for so long?
The last time I heard it was coming. I don't know anything else. Are you there, Carla? Yes? Yes? Carla?
Yeah, Matt.
Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, Anderson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling from Wharton Waven. There's an accident. I know that happened in Wharton Waven. I think it's that one you're talking about, right?
Tell me what happened.
Okay. No. I don't want to go on that part, but if you guys came Wharton Waven, the back road, the Minister of Tourism, Dennis Charles talking about tourism. And up Wharton Waven, we have all hot spas. At T-Peg Show, Screws, we have Tia's, and then we have the Escape. We have restaurants up there, a nice liquor vibes, and trust me, people came, tourists come, and look at the back road from Poptall at the back there. We have to take the detour, a short little thing, and I don't understand how is the Minister of Tourism talking about we are ready for tourism, and look at that piece of road, my brother. That is so small. Now, the other thing is now, the Deputy Prime Minister or the Acting Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, Irving McIntyre.
Your pal rep.
He's from the Rosa Valley. So I don't understand these guys. And listen.
I'm right here. Yeah, I'm listening to you, and I totally agree with you because I came through Copter one time, and that road is just definitely. Why can't we fix those things?
You know what I mean, man? And that's going on for 5 years. That's like 10 years now or something.
I know, and not only that, it's reducing the amount. It's reducing.
Thank you.
But Matt, what it's been doing is reducing the revenue to go to those places because look at the amount. I mean, Matt, if it was me, that hot water is so nice. I would love to just jump in my car every evening and go visit that thing. Sit in the water, relax, have an evening where you could rest and you go. Matt, several people would like to do that, but that road is just treacherous up there to get there. And they bring tourists up there day in buses and busloads of tourists year after year, but no attention. All that money that we generate, where does it go into? Why can't it go into fixing some of those roads, making some of those places more accessible? Why can't we ask Denise Charles, where is all the tourism money going? Why can't it go to those places that have visitors coming in and day out? Why can't we ask Denise Charles, who is a representative of the Point Michel Society, why can't we ask her, why are we dumping tons and tons of material into Champagne, which is one of our most natural and best resources that we have when tourists visit. Why can't we ask Denise Charles, tell us about the statistics about the revenue generated?
The days I drove by, I think that they're making an attempt to stop it. They're putting some big rocks there. So maybe it's an attempt to, of course, stop what is going on.
Well, again, Matt, because you know why? They probably heard it on your show. I'm going to tell you, your show is where they get the advice of things that they should do. Because I don't know why they can't see these things with their own eyes. Why do we have to complain about these things? I mean, tons of dirt. Look, the callers calling in from Wharton Waven right now. I go up to Wharton Waven. That road is a hurdle, but they've done nothing about it. That place has been the exact same way for at least the last 7 years, and nobody has approached it to say, look, we have busloads of tourists coming down there. Let's give the tourists an excellent experience. Wharton Waven is 20, 30 minutes away from Roseau. Let's make this one of Dominica's best places. Miss Denise Charles, if you're listening to my voice, remember I have told you that you are one of the absolute worst ministers, second to the Portsmouth Power Rep. Power Rep from Portsmouth is the first worst, and Miss Denise Charles, second worst.
And that's your grading right now? A B and a C?
well, I don't know. It could be an F and an F, Matt. But I believe and Matt, the reason why I give them the worst grade
I've heard that Portsmouth is creamy, Andy. Maybe you're getting the wrong impression there.
No, Matt, the power from Portsmouth. Let me explain something about Matt. Portsmouth is supposed to be a mecca of Dominica. Portsmouth is supposed to, Matt, I spent some time in Portsmouth while I was over the last few weeks, Matt, and I'm going to tell you, Portsmouth is slow. It is slow. There's very few people walking for the street. The streets are deserted. The businesses are not full. We need to understand that these places.
Hold that thought there. Somebody's on the telephone. You there, caller? We want to give you a chance.
Mark, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, yes.
Mark, while all the minister, so Mark, it is so shameful. Everything that happened in Tufure Scott said with respect to labor, there is a committee for everything, and every committee dying. When you tell me Scott said and Tufure is the grassroots of Carnival, the parade didn't see it fit 2-3 months in advance to get a committee together. When you tell me at eve of a carnival, the parade is selling a band Tufure and Scott said, and that was a shame. Everybody was empty in the band. Everybody go to Roseau. The parade is not getting an act together to do what is right for the nation and the country. You cannot come 2-3 months before Carnival and get your group organized for the development of tourism in Tufure and Scotland. In an eve of Carnival, you sending a band to free a band Scotland, which was embarrassing. What a shame, Matt. It's a real shame. Thank you.
All right, that's a constituent in the.
Well, Matt, I'm going to tell you that sentiment is shared by many of the constituents there. I am going to tell you, if you do a rapid poll, Matt, and takes calls from Scottsdale and Tufure, that exact same sentiment for the power rep of Scottsdale and Tufure is shared by many, many people. I am going to tell you, Matt, I'm going to tell you, the same thing almost happened in Portsmouth too. Portsmouth was supposed to get a band on the road.
Somebody's agreeing with you with the text message says, Andy, Portsmouth is not slow, it's dead. Somebody says.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to put it dead. There were 1 or 2 life bodies walking around there. I mean, I didn't want to call it dead. But Matt, this place should be booming. The tourist boats, Matt, there's a lot of different, there's money to be made, but they have stifled the community. And this is a community that Rosie Douglas is from, Matt. This is how shameful is that. Rosie Douglas, who is probably, what would you consider him, Matt? The grandfather of labor? Or probably?
I think I refer to Lee Blanc as the grandfather of labor.
Okay, but Rosie Douglas somewhere as the father or something.
He's right up there. He's right up there.
Yes, he's his uncle, his granduncle, something. But Matt, that Portsmouth community is starving for attention. I'm going to tell you, the Tufure, the Scottsdale community, starving for attention. The Point Michelle community, starving for attention. And Matt, the young lady who called a little before that, I want to comment on what she said. She asked a while ago, is the money for the Roseau improvement in Dominica? And here's what the question I have to ask many people today, Matt. What would you do to improve Roseau? How much money would you spend to improve Roseau? Can we even improve Roseau as it is right now, Matt? Maybe we should just start over again with Roseau because Roseau needs a lot of work.
So should we relocate Rosa? Somebody's asking. Let's take a phone call. Sorry about that. Let's take another call. Are you there, caller? Yes.
Yes, the caller is there, Matt. This is the boots in the ear.
Yes, I.
Mr. Jolly, good afternoon. And
Good
yes,
afternoon.
Dominica, Carnival, you know is a thing I love. And Matt, Carnival means something because Carnival came from something. Matt, if you recall, when I was really playing the Carnival and in charge of the band, Matt, on King George V Street, even as the first day of Carnival, we must stop for a second, not a second, for a minute of silence for the death of the Carnival troopers, the guys that die on Carnival Day in Carnival. That is part of Carnival history. Matt, today, which is a bigger day, Matt, the bouillon rise from after those days. Matt, there's a lot of bouillon bands that even the stars of the bands pass away. Matt, to tell me that we had such a big carnival and we're talking about it so much. On Freedom Street, you know where Freedom Street is, Matt?
I'm listening to
Matt,
you. I'm listening to you. Go ahead. Tell me where
Freedom Street is Lagon. Freedom Street is Queen Mary Street. Queen Mary Street. There is a huge building on Queen Mary Street next to the credit union. Matt, you know this building has been closed down for a couple of years since after it built. Not one stroke is done. We have such a huge carnival. They could take posters and banners of all these great men that sing. You know, King Solo died, I think last year or year before.
Uh-huh.
And it was silent. You know, that man is the man that sing a song saying, Mass in the cemetery. That is, let us bring the dead back with us on Carnival. Matt, you know, in Guadeloupe, Carnival last year or year before, there was a band leader. The name of the band is Vim. The man that organized Vim. The man died. I think it was the eve of Carnival or just after Carnival. Matt, if you see the kind of presentation Vim put on in Pointe-à-Pitre, Matt, you must call Wadix and tell Wadix to come and explain to Dominicans how we must embrace Carnival and put the mark on it. Because the children of tomorrow, the children of today that go in, they're going to want to have the history to continue Carnival. Matt, you know, Ra is still there. And all the boys of WCK.
I spoke to Ra this morning.
Matt, we should have a kind of a big thing celebrating those guys on Carnival Day in order that people can understand these are the pioneers. Then G and all of them come after. But doesn't matter. They should have one big organization highlighting so people can see. So me say, these are the guys. So I am just saying in the Carnival and in our Dominica development, we have to look deeper into where we going, where we came from, and where we going. That's going to be a big map that's going to be needed for the kids of tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Of course. Another call before we wrap it up here on the big station, Q95, to Talk on the Block. Hello, talk to me, yes? Oh, sorry about that. I knew we have to wrap.
Yes. The time always flies when we're on the show. But Matt, it was a very interesting Carnival celebration. And Matt, imagine they did listen to you as well too. I wanted to say that close to ACS, they did have toilets on the street this year. So they did put some restrooms out there for people to use. So people are listening, Matt, to your show, and I want you to keep up the good work, my friend. A lot of people think that sometimes what you say or what goes on your show is not heard by the people who need to hear it. But Matt, it's good. And in the wise words of my dad told me this, he says, confrontation is not good, but unless you don't confront something, you never get it fixed. So I think that what we're doing here is confronting some of the issues. We're speaking the people's language. And I think the people up top are beginning to listen because they understand that the people have a voice, and that's your voice, Matt. So
I
thank
know
you.
somebody else is ending there and said Portsmouth Power Rep is the worst, nothing happening. The mayor joined worse again. So much tourism boats in the place and place dead. Sales slow. That's a businessman, I suspect.
Yeah.
So it's really
Very,
bad in
very,
Portsmouth. It's really bad in Portsmouth.
very true. The Portsmouth Power Rep is the actual worst, and second is the Soufriere Scott said Power Rep, second worst Power Rep in Dominica. These two people should never be voted back into office ever again, and I'm telling you, they do not understand their jobs and need to be removed.
We've got to go. Andy, thank you very much. Let's talk again sometime soon,
Thanks,
okay?
man. Pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
It's reality and division. We don't have a song economy. Only a 6% misery. No interest, no comfort, no banana. Running on and them dance to copyright and the Christmas return.
That is how we come.
Day by day, Lord, we keep going down. For it's how we come. On your banana sun, your cocoa and the rum. Still waiting for the visions to come. And to make that quest, look the apparatus. Put a 5% tax on. So we keep going down on the road to Sodom, and the whole country keeps going down slowly. Just look at NBC, banana industry, it's going down slowly. I see the little children dressing red, crying and waiting like for the dead. I knew this would bring a curse on us. From this converting to getting worse. Remember the Holy Bible said, Yahweh takes no pleasure in the dead. If you think I like to go tomorrow, and that's been reached so much young people, tell you that abomination. Now be so dumb, that is how we come. Day by day, Lord, we keep going down. By affection, that is how we come. Going on the rain, on the sun, yet it's far and far we come. And on last we come out from this damn ignorance, our children just don't stand a chance. But we keep going down on the road to Sodom, and the whole country keeps going down slowly. Slowly. We going down slowly. Going down slowly. Immorality. We going down slowly.